What's up, guys? I hope you're all doing well, and thank you so much for hopping into this video for a film that I reviewed on this channel about 9 years ago. It was right before the Fantastic Beasts movie came out, the first one, so it was 2016. So I reviewed the Harry Potter films leading up to it. Last year, I did another review for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban for its 20th anniversary, and now I'm going to re-review Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That's why I'm calling it the Philosopher's Stone. Why am I doing that? And why does it say 3D in my title and the thumbnail? Well, guess what? Fandango is doing a little Harry Potter release, and I was lucky enough to see Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, as it's called in the US, and the Philosopher's Stone, as it's called everywhere else out of the US, in 3D. For the first time, it was shown in 3D in the US. So I'm guessing it was shown in 3D outside the US. I don't know. Not too sure about that. But the Fandango listing said, for the first time ever being presented in 3D in the United States, watch Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So that is the backstory on why I'm doing this. And the new releases this week, I already saw the new release. I saw The Monkey last Wednesday. So my review for that is up on the channel now. It's up on the King's Corner playlist. And I have a Harry Potter reviews playlist on this channel because this is one of my favorite series. And I think that it's partially due to because I grew up with it, just like many other people did, but also because of, even getting older, just realizing the quality of these films. I mean, not a lot of book adaptations are made like this. I mean, Dune is great, but I mean, Lord of the Rings, sure, but how rare is it that you get such a great adaptation? I read the first book in the 7th or 8th grade. Could have even been 9th grade, I don't know. But I don't remember it. So I'm starting to listen to the audiobook on YouTube. It's a free video of somebody reading the whole thing, and he's doing a voice like, I don't know, it sounds like I should be paying for it, but it's free. So I listened to the first 45 minutes so far, and then saw the film in the theater in 3D, and what I noticed is, it's a great adaptation. The book sure adds more, but I think the films took the most important things and added them into the movie. So let's talk about the movie. Let's not talk about the book. Let's talk about the film, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which after watching it, I was like, damn, that is still a great movie. It's not one of my favorites in the series, and I think that's another reason why this series is one of my favorites, is because there's not a bad movie in the bunch. And that's saying, with 8 films, there is not a bad one in the bunch. So there you go. The track record is pretty good. But this movie sets the groundwork on so many things. Storylines that are going to pay off later on, that you're going to be emotionally attached to. The story is so deep and layered. J.K. Rowling did the book, and say what you will about her as a person, this book, I mean, the film, the whole story of Harry Potter is phenomenal. It's one of the best stories, one of the best written stories for me. I mean, it is something truly special. And this film introduces you to every character that was so perfectly cast. If there was a casting award, somebody should have got it for this film. You have so many actors that are dead now that are in this movie, which also makes it feel even more special and adds more to the experience of it. Poor Maggie Smith, who passed. Is she dead? I think she's dead. And then you have Richard Harris as Dumbledore. You have Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid, who is the heart and soul of this movie, by the way. Hagrid is such a great character. And those are the big 3 for me. You got Alan Rickman, the late, great Alan Rickman as Snape, setting up the conflict between Harry and Snape throughout the series. In this movie, just everything. But also setting up that Snape was trying to save him when Quirrell was doing the putting the broomstick and doing all the stuff. Hermione goes in, sets the thing on fire, Snape's coat. We're thinking it was Snape. Later in the film, we realize Snape was trying to protect Harry. And eventually, later in the series, that pays off. So to see an act of him actually doing something to protect him is really special. And that's one of my favorite moments in the film. Even though during the moment you think that Snape is doing it against him. And then you finally realize at the end of the movie he was trying to protect him. Watching that back, he was fully determined to save Harry. I mean, I was in tears in Deathly Hallows Part 2 when the whole Snape storyline is just so tragic and beautiful. And Alan Rickman does such a great job in the role. He's very mysterious in the movie, but later in the series, and like Half-Blood Prince, Snape really becomes a character until the end. I mean, bravo, Alan Rickman. Fantastic job. He should have been at least nominated for supporting actor in 2011 for Deathly Hallows Part 2. I mean, Snape was the heart of that film, but this film, Hagrid, is the heart of it. And Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, casting these three young actors was such a gamble, but it paid off completely. In this film, they're good, but they're not great. Their performances get so much more layered and deep while as the film goes on. And I think Alfonso Cuarón had something to do with that, with Azkaban, and then the story just getting so much darker. These characters, I mean, the actors did great, but they're good in this film. But it's the adults who kind of steal the movie in this one, with the kids kind of falling behind them. The production design, the Oscar-nominated production design, set decoration in this movie is flawless. Hogwarts looks like something that should have always been there. It looks like it's a part of history. I mean, the set decorators, everything. Diagon Alley. I love the production design of Gringotts. You have the Dursleys' home. The whole thing. I mean, the train, the iconic Hogwarts Express. I mean, everything just looks so good down to a T in the film. And let's talk about John Williams for a second, who's my favorite film composer. His score for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone is not one of my favorite scores of his. The theme of Harry Potter, sure, but the overall score is not one of my favorite scores of his. I think the score is very playful, but as the series goes on, he did the first three. Once Azkaban came around, I feel like the score really matured, just like the kids did. And I think there's an interview where John Williams says, look, well, the kids are maturing, and I'm thinking the story's maturing, so he said the music better mature too. So you get, I mean, the Prisoner of Azkaban score is one of my favorite film scores of all time. That, with like Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End by Hans Zimmer, one of the John Williams Star Wars scores, of course, but the Prisoner of Azkaban score is phenomenal. And those themes from the first movie definitely carry on into that film. So the score is great. It's an Oscar-nominated score. And if it wasn't for Howard Shore, for The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, who won for Best Original Score that year over John Williams, if it wasn't for that, I think John Williams would have won. He was also up there with Randy Newman for Monsters Incorporated, who was up for Best Score that year. He's up against himself for AI, Artificial Intelligence. A lot of great scores that came out that year. But his, for Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone, it sets the groundwork. This is a score that sets the groundwork for a lot of scores to come. So the movie did a great job of doing that. It did a great job of setting the groundwork. But it's not one of my favorites because, look, the story gets deeper, darker, and more emotional. And and then you get more invested, and those films turn out to be better. But you're invested from the start here. Some of the moments, I feel, are purely for setup, and they feel that way. The scene where they're going into McGonagall's classroom, and she's a cat, and then she turns into the fully grown human. you know, just to say, do you need a time? You know, you don't know what time it is, can't find your way. So basically, that scene was probably could have been cut from the movie. It didn't add or detract anything. The next scene with Snape, I was gonna say, okay, this probably could have been cut, but then he goes into pressing Harry and his little back and forth and speech that he gives Harry in that scene. I was like, okay, keep that in the film. That's setting up for things to come. The scene with the broom, we know Harry's going to be a flyer, but when he gets the broom and the class that he takes, probably could have been cut, but then it would have just went straight to a Quidditch match, and you're like, okay, where'd the training come from? Which you don't really see it training at all. You just see that he's a good flyer. He's a capable flyer. So I guess that's what that scene is for, but it does feel a little silly with the Neville Longbottom thing, which we're also setting up Neville Longbottom as someone who's like, why me? Why is it always me? In the crap. You know what I mean? He's a buffoon. His character arc is really special. And it starts great in this film. So yeah, other than like some moments that I feel like could have been cut out and like the story being good, but knowing how much better the stories are going to get, like the mystery of the Sorcerer's Stone, having to protect it, the three-headed dog, the whole thing. It's good, but there's better stories to come. I would say the mystery of the Chamber of Secrets is probably a better story. There's many other better stories throughout the series. So Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I can go on about it, but it's a great film, and it stands the test of time, and it gets a 4 out of 5, a very strong 4 out of 5 stars for me. Highly recommended if you haven't seen the series. They are really some special films. So comment, what do you think about the series? What's your favorite Harry Potter film? Were you able to check out the first 4, which Fathom did a little event for? You can come on back to the channel for, yeah, look, I've got my review for The Monkey, which is opening this week, is up now. We got a new release coming out next week. It's called Last Breath, Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu. We got Mickey 17 and Snow White coming around the corner. So come back for all that. Guys, you can follow me on Twitter and or X at Ranking72 and Instagram and TikTok at King of Rises 131. That's been it for me. Thank you so much for watching my review for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and the Philosopher's Stone in 3D, which I did not mention in the video, but the 3D was very good. Over and out.